Well, it has been such a long time since I did the last episode of this series. But I am ready to get back into it. So here we are in episode 2 of the history of YouTube videos. Now in the last episode, I talked about the history of the Thomas & Friends New Engine Slideshow series, which was a series that was invented by Felix Cheng, and also this formula would also be used by other people. Another sort of formula that Felix Cheng started that lots of other people would end up doing later would be a series called Kuno the Tank Engine. And in this episode, I'm going to be telling you about the history of Kuno the Tank Engine and how this sort of series rolls out. Kuno the Tank Engine started its series in July of 2007. Apparently, I can assume that this episode came out on Independence Day of 2007, as Felix Cheng uploaded the 16th episode of the Kuno the Tank Engine series on July 4th of 2008, indicating that it marked the 1-year anniversary of the Kuno the Tank Engine franchise. Which is also interesting because I would also upload an episode of Kuno the Tank Engine Generation 2 on Independence Day in 2017, which marked the 10th anniversary of the Kuno the Tank Engine franchise. But I will talk about Generation 2 later. For now, we are going to be talking about how Generation 1 had started. Kuno the Tank Engine Generation 1 began in July of 2007, as I have mentioned before. Now, the series was actually meant to start out as a troll series, as a number of different users in the series would be based upon trolls. Now, I'm going to point out that I'm not talking about the troll as in the monsters. I'm talking about internet trolls. That's the type of trolls I am talking about. However, as the series went on, some good YouTube users asked if they could also be in the series as well. Some of the first YouTube users to ask to be in the Kuno the Tank Engine series would include Arthur Fanatic and Thomas and Diesel. Arthur Fanatic requested to be the counterpart of Arthur. However, there were some modifications done for the character. Now, I am also going to point out that the character's name is Mike Solo. Now, this has a few references. The Mike part is obviously supposed to be Arthur Fanatic's real name. Now, a couple months ago, I did find him on DeviantArt, discovering that he had not disappeared entirely like he seemingly disappeared in 2008, or was it 9? I'm not really sure. And he told me that the name Solo is actually supposed to be a reference to Star Trek, is it? I'm not really sure. If he is watching this video and I got that wrong, I'm pretty sure he can tell you the correct reference to that. But anyway, the character of Mike Solo, who is supposed to be the Kuno the Tank Engine version of Arthur, was depicted as being a 264 tank engine instead of a 262. This means that Mike Solo had 4 wheels at the back instead of only 2 like Arthur has. What's interesting is that this same basis would actually be used for an official character called Belle, who came out in 2011, 4 years after the release of the original Kuno the Tank Engine series. Unfortunately, though, Generation 1 never made it this far. However, when I got into Generation 2, I started Generation 2, I decided that since the Kuno the Tank Engine version of Arthur is the same basis as Belle, why don't I make the Kuno the Tank Engine version of Belle be the same basis as Arthur? I am also kind of wondering if Felix Cheng would have done the same thing if he continued the Kuno the Tank Engine series by the time Day of the Diesels came out. Oh well. The other character, being Thomas and Diesel, was, obviously supposed to be the character of Diesel. But the difference here is that instead of being black, he is blue and yellow. which is not the case in Generation 2 because I felt like he needed to be black. Kuno the Tank Engine ran for about 17 episodes in the original generation, and there were actually plans for a 18th episode to come out. But unfortunately though, the 18th episode of Kuno the Tank Engine Generation 1 never came into the light of day. In 2014, I asked Felix Cheng if I could create revisions of the original Kuno the Tank Engine series by using images that I found that he uploaded onto a website which, as of the time of the recording of this video, has been down for maintenance since 2015, called MAJ Host. I guess it was quite lucky that I managed to get all of these images before the website went down. Continuing on, he approved of the idea of releasing these revisions of the series, and I had gotten to work. Although a thing to point out is that the revisions that I had posted on the original Kuno the Tank Engine series are not entirely the same as how they were when Felix Cheng originally uploaded them from 2007 to 2009. In 2017, which is the year that this audio was recorded in, by the way, I decided to create a reboot to the Kuno the Tank Engine series. Because it was such a great series to watch, and it was quite a shame that it came to an end when it did, since there were quite a number of different characters that never were adapted into the Kuno the Tank Engine series. In fact, if you were to ask me as to how far in Thomas the Tank Engine the Kuno the Tank Engine series goes, the last new season that Kuno the Tank Engine adapted characters would be in Season 11. Any characters introduced in Season 12 and beyond never appeared in the first generation of Kuno the Tank Engine. Which is quite unfortunate, but hey, at least Generation 2 brings in those characters, though I don't know if Felix Cheng would have used the same characters for the same users. Now, one of the most interesting parts that I remember about the first generation of Kuno the Tank Engine would be this sort of disclaimer. This disclaimer here was a 15-minute notice that played at the start of episodes 10 through 17 of the first generation of Kuno the Tank Engine, and most likely would have still been used in any subsequent episodes had they ever been made. This disclaimer is read out by a computer program called Microsoft Sam, and I believe it is supposed to be a parody of the South Park disclaimers. However, instead of warning users that the content is too inappropriate and should not be viewed by anyone, it instead points out that it should be viewed by anyone except spammers. For those of you that don't know how the disclaimer looks, here is the disclaimer in its whole.
All characters and events in this spin-off series are entirely fictional. The following program might have some based on trolls, and due to its content, it should be viewed by anyone except spammers.
When I created the revisions to the original Kuno the Tank Engine series, I didn't put the disclaimers at the start of the videos. I didn't think that there was any point in doing so because I released these episodes publicly. But with that said, I guess it is pretty good to let modern audiences, such as new fans, discover how good this original Kuno the Tank Engine series is. Right now, I have Kuno the Tank Engine Generation 2 running at about 21 episodes right now. I do have plans on making more episodes in the future. If you are interested in being in the series, do let me know. But I'm going to point out, and this is a mistake that a number of people have made when I asked if they wanted to be in the Kuno the Tank Engine series, this is not a series where you have to voice act. It is just a series where your username is used for an engine in this series. No voice acting is involved. I am pointing this out because there have been a number of people that have made this mistake. Some other people have done their own series based upon Kuno the Tank Engine. such as Arthur Fanatic creating a series called Felix the Tank Engine, Tom Funk creating a series called Tom Funk the Tank Engine, and All-American Boy 9, who today is called Rail Pony, creating a series called Eddie the Tank Engine, which fortunately is actually still on YouTube. And there is also my Eli the Tank Engine series, which I made from 2008 to 2016. I decided to abort it in favor of Kuno the Tank Engine Generation 2. So that is about it. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will make another episode pretty soon. I'll see you all then.
One day we may be apart, and the distance may sadden our hearts. Wherever we stray, remember this day. Friends together.